citizenship to be a commitment you've made to improve your country, your community, your schools. Take pride in being a U.S. citizen. Realize you have responsibilities along with your rights and privileges here. Speak up about your views. Contribute time and energy in making your communities and schools the best they can be.
Good evening and welcome once again to the Citizenship Chronicles. This is your host Stephen M. Nelson saying get up, get out, and get involved. And that's what I did this last weekend when we honored our Minneapolis park system, where we combine the old and the new, and sometimes even the retro, such as the new pavilion at the lake, which has a very retro feel to it. Here in Minneapolis, we love our park system. We love our scenic views, the waterfalls at Minnehaha, the many trails with multi-purposes for jogging, walking, biking, hiking, and, well, like I said, multi-purpose trails. We have the overlooks on the river. We have beautiful scenes that take us through out the city. One of our highlights, of course, is the Rose Garden. This was planned and first planted, and it's that second one in the nation, by the man who lived in this house. A man that's whose name is well known, but whose history has slowly been forgotten. The purpose of this weekend was to honor this man and his whole family. Well, 63 descendants of the man were in town this weekend. And the man, of course, is Theodore Wirth. The event that we'll be chronicling tonight and seeing highlights from is the Worthwhile Weekend. So sit back and enjoy highlights from around the city parks with the Worthwhile Weekend.
Had a little girl in a hollow tree. I said, little girl, it's plain to see there ain't nobody that can sing like me. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. She said, it's hard for me to see how one little boy got so ugly. Maybe, but there ain't nobody that can sing like me. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key. Way over yonder in the minor key. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. I have walked a long, long way. Still remember my Tanglewood days. I've met lots of girls since then to stray. Singing ain't nobody that can sing like me. There ain't nobody that can sing like me. Way over yonder in the minor key. Way over yonder in the minor key.
Okay, here we are, right here along the Mississippi River. If any of you went down to the overlook, you probably got a little view of it. You'll see more of it on the buses when we leave here. I want to thank the Longfellow community for inviting the Minneapolis Parks Legacy Society to bring the Wirth family to this location where they've invested so much of their time and energy into our Minneapolis parks. Becca and Chaz are here of the River Folk. Isn't that a great and important name for this location? And the only thing I'd like to say here about the river, and we'll be on the river tonight, and you can just fall in love with the Mississippi if you haven't before, is that the river was the first place identified as being an important place for public access in 1883 by H.W.S. Cleveland, long before your grandfather ever, well, came to America. So think of the river as a very important place. Know that we have twin river boulevards, one running down this side of the Mississippi, one running down the other side of the Mississippi. And the property for that was acquired before Theodore Wirth got here. His big question to solve when he got here was, how am I going to pave these roads? How am I going to get these trees planted? You will see some old trees along the way here, and some of those trees are even older than when he came. When you see the oaks, know that they were native to this area also.
Greetings and welcome. My name is Dean Zimmerman. I'm on the Minneapolis City Council, and I was before that for 8 years on the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. You are now, I believe, at your only stop in the 3rd Park District, which I represented for 8 years. And time and again, the Minneapolis Park System gets voted the best park system in the country, and I take full credit for that because I was able to choose such tremendous predecessors. And without the work of those predecessors, of course, we could not have this beautiful park system. Parks contribute so profoundly to our sense of well-being, it's hard to imagine life without them here or anywhere. And it is the work of those predecessors, Theodore Wirth, Cleveland, and the many others who had this tremendous vision to lay out and grab up the land before the city expanded into it. Now, of course, we are a totally built-up city, and yet we have a park board that is aggressive in making sure that all opportunities are grabbed as they come up. The Mississippi River, which is right behind me, is of course what we call the father of waters, and flows from here some 11 or 1,200 miles to the Gulf of Mexico. You're sitting about 750 feet above sea level. So we're not particularly high here, so it drops less than a foot per mile all of the way from here to the Gulf. But the Mississippi River, of course, in the beginning of our country and the expansion into the interior was the main highway. And boats came up here. St. Paul, which is about 8 miles behind me, was the head of navigation. We are here at the Mississippi Gorge, which is the only true gorge on the entire length of the Mississippi. And it was a great foresight that has put almost the entire gorge area into public lands. First was grabbed up by the Minneapolis Park System, and then also they grabbed a lot of it in St. Paul. And so we have public access to this beautiful natural wild area. And today, if you go along the bottom of the gorge, you can see evidence of a lot of wildlife that exists right here in the middle of the urban area, with a lot of beaver have come back. You can find deer, eagles, all along. And it is a part of a great network we are trying to create of habitat ribbons, so that migratory animals, both on the wing and other, can have a unbroken habitat all up and down the Mississippi. And we are so happy that the Minneapolis Park System is able to play its part in doing so. And as each year goes by, we grab just one little bit more piece of land that is not yet in the park system. We continue to make the parks greater and greater, and of course this is only one small part of a system which has a park within 6 blocks of every child that lives in the city. Has a park within 6 blocks of it. A legacy a goal that was laid out by Theodore Wirth himself several decades ago. So again, welcome to Minneapolis, and thank you so much for taking the time to grace us with your presence.
Thank you.
Greg Larson.
Hello, and thank you for coming here. I'm pleased to see this turnout here. Joan requested that we keep this kind of short. I heard some kids get off the bus and they said, we get to walk in the woods, so I'm sort of getting the impression that perhaps you guys have heard enough people talk and want to go out and see the area. But I did want to talk just a little bit about the Longfellow Community Council. Really, the vision for preserving this natural area came from just a handful of community members who back in the early 90s lobbied the city for a $300,000 grant to start the preservation efforts here. And the nice thing about having a grant like that is it qualifies you for some matching money. And to date, we've raised about $700,000 for River Gorge preservation. And one of the things we did is this outlook behind us that comes out of that effort. There is a lot of problems here with erosion, and so we wanted to make some sort of some visual clues as to where to stop and to let the neighborhood know that this was a very important neighborhood and it should be cared for. And this is what we called one of our clues to care, because when a park board looks cared for, people care for it. And unfortunately, the opposite is true too. If it doesn't look cared for, it just accelerates. So it was a real important effort that this community did to start preserving this area. I was looking at your program and I saw earlier this morning you were at the Rose Garden, and I was there just a couple days ago and it was in full bloom and just beautiful. And this is actually kind of the opposite of the Rose Garden. What we're trying to do here is preserve what this area looked like before European development. And Dean talked about the native plants, and on the field trip you'll be able to see some of those restoration efforts. Dean requested that I mention a little bit about Winchell. The trail through here is named Winchell, and when Dean came up and asked me if I could talk a little bit about Winchell, I said, well, I should be able to since I'm a graduate